competitions.
Stina Blackstenius has just scored for Arsenal. That's her fifth this season in the Women's Super League, and they lead by a goal to nil against Liverpool. Ian, you've watched this Milan side 3 times this season. So what do you make of them?
Well, I've got to think, I mean, up until they played Spurs 3 weeks ago in the first leg, they were really out of form. If you think back to the midwinter break, so when they resumed in early January, you know, I think there was something like 8 points off Napoli, and now Napoli are in the distance as far as the title's concerned, and Milan have been left fighting for a place just for the top 4. Of all of the great Milan sides, I think they're beatable. I've seen them 3 times now in the flesh. Chelsea obviously beat them 3-0 at Stamford Bridge. I think they've improved since Stefano Pioli changed them to a back 3, and then actually coinciding with that, just before the Tottenham game against, I think it was Torino, they then went on a winning run up until they lost to Fiorentina at the weekend, and also they've tightened up at the back of late. They're actually coming into this game in a better run of form, albeit on the back of a defeat, but they had won their last 4 matches before that than they were when they met in San Siro. But Tottenham should only be grateful that they missed those 2 chances. It was a Chow header, and De Ketelaere also missed a great opportunity for Milan. Otherwise, Spurs, who were by and large comfortable in that first leg, it could have been a lot worse for Tottenham. But I'm optimistic. I think that Tottenham, with this atmosphere here, they'll be fired up. They've never lost 3 on the spin under Antonio Conte. I'm expecting a Tottenham win.
You sort of feel as well, Mina, don't you, that it could be set up for Olivier Giroud, this?
Well, you'd like to think so, but Olivier Giroud was hit with
I know you'd like
symptoms.
to think so, maybe.
I'm trying to find reasons to be optimistic, you know. I mean, perhaps the old style of the way that Milan used to play would have been a little bit more scary to this Antonio Conte-led Tottenham. If you play a very aggressive game, I think that they can be gotten at. But this Milan side that is erring a little bit on the defensive side, I don't know, it has anything to do with it, with how much, and I'm interested to see how much Olivier Giroud gets of the ball, because he barely saw it when it came to the game against Fiorentina. But hopefully now we have Brahim Diaz available for them, and they also have Rafael Leao. So he is going to have a little bit more company. He did have the flu, and he was a little bit off against Fiorentina, didn't come into training the day before they travelled. So that was a concern, but he's back training with the squad. I don't know how good he feels at the moment. And he has a reasonably good record in the knockout stages against Spurs. So it is kind of depending all on him. But honestly, it's also about Rafael Leao. He needs to show that he is the leader and the MVP that everyone expects him to be on a consistent basis, and not just be a guy that shows up when at some moments and then drops off in others. So this is about him. This is about him showing up and rising to the occasion.
Well, I was going to ask you about where he is at and his consistency. I watched the Milan derby, what was that, about a month ago, and he actually started that on the bench. So has he struggled at times this season?
Yeah, a lot more than you would expect to. At the start of the season, I thought he was fantastic, frankly. He was always the player that you looked at. He was obviously so brilliant one-on-one, one of the purest wingers that you have at the moment. And one of those players that started to really shut up the critics in many ways because of his consistency. But one thing that has always been noted is that there are moments where he just nods off or falls asleep. And it's in those moments where Milan need a leader, because when they don't have Zlatan or any of the older veterans available, he needs to be someone that they can look upon to really help the team going forward. And he hasn't been that figure, just like you noted in the derby. So there's also been changes to the way that his position has been, because they moved to a 3-man back line. He's now a little bit closer to goal. And he tries to help out with Charles de Ketelaere, who's obviously not feeling right now at his best from a psychological point of view, and he's always there trying to boost him as much as possible. But for Leao, one thing that's always noted is if only he had the mentality of Cristiano Ronaldo, then he'd be one of the best players ever. But so the thought is that he's a great player. He just doesn't seem to be interested in showing you that on all occasions.
Can I ask, what about the return of the goalkeeper, Mike Maignan, who's been out obviously for, 5 months with a bad calf injury? I think he's returned for the last 2 games. because Tatarusanu had struggled, hadn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, the reason Tatarusanu, being there is the reason why Milan had to change their formation, because with him, they stuck with their old formation, obviously, and had to lower their lines because he just wasn't very comfortable with his feet, just not very secure as a goalkeeper. Whereas the direct style of Mike Maignan, who has assists for the ability to always distribute so brilliantly, allowed Milan to have a higher centre of gravity and play on the front foot, be aggressive at all times. And that really helped them with their style of play. So they had to change all that and adopt a more defensive method with Tatarusanu. But Mike is back, and it's important that he will have Brahim Diaz so that, they can knock the ball down. Rafael Leao, who can run onto any perfect delivery that he may have up his sleeve for them. So I think his presence, also his authority at the back and his ability to communicate, because we've seen likes of Tomori, who was just brilliant last season. Everyone was talking about in Italy. How on earth was he not part of the team for the World Cup for England? Tomori was rated as one of the best. But this season, we haven't seen that, and a lot of that has to do with the absence of Mike Maignan. So he's really important from a psychological and, of course, from a tactical point of view.
Mina, thank you very much for being with us. Mina Rizuki on 5 Live Sport. The Tottenham Milan game is a 8:10 kick-off because of traffic problems in the area. Arsenal have got a second in the Women's Super League against Liverpool, so that's 2 in 6 minutes for them. Caitlin Ford with the second. And 2-0 is the same scoreline in the other Women's Super League game. Kelly.
Yeah, Chelsea 2, Brighton 0. Jess Carter with the second for Chelsea. A deflected effort from the edge of the 6-yard box. Nothing more than Chelsea deserve. They have dominated. Carter had just seen a shot blocked by Williams just before, as they win another free kick on the edge of the area. Could be a long evening for Brighton. Chelsea 2, Brighton 0.
3 Scottish Premiership games this evening. Let's go to Celtic. Roddy Forsyth.
Well, Hearts have just taken the lead. We've had to go through a fairly long VAR check to be sure, but it was a fine break down the left by Halliday. He crossed towards the back of the 6-yard box, and there was Josh Ginnelly with a flying header. And so at the moment it's Celtic 0, Hearts 1.
Let's go to Connie watching Hibs Rangers.
Yeah, still 0-0 at the moment, Mark. Josh Campbell, they're having an early opportunity for the home side, just coming close in and trying to work the goalkeeper, Al McGregor, but he managed to clear his lines. And let me just tell you just briefly, the most beautiful tribute to the former chairman, Ron Gordon, here at Hibs. Sunshiningly belting out from both sides of the stadium. Just a lovely, fitting tribute to the man who passed away just a couple of days ago.
Thank you very much, Connie. A third game in the Scottish Premiership this evening. That's Livingston against Dundee United, bottom of the table Dundee United, and that is goalless at the moment. Back to the game then at the Tottenham Hotspurs Stadium. Let's hear from Antonio Conte and what he expects from his team tonight.
Now I'm back. I'm really happy. We have an important game and a vital game for us because we want to go to the next round. And we'll try to do it. For this reason, I hope to feel a great atmosphere, an amazing atmosphere in our stadium. And many times our fans give us the right boost to overcome the difficult situation. And tomorrow we are playing against a team that last season won the league in Italy. And we are talking about a really good team. Now I repeat, I'm well, and yesterday I tried during the training session that I have a lot of energy, and I want to transfer my energy to my players for this important game. And the pressure is normal. We have to live with this type of pressure. And yeah, maybe if there is one thing that we have to try to improve, the whole environment here is to live with the pressure. And to live with the pressure, it means to sometimes to be a bit stressed, and not always to be in peace with yourself, but to stress yourself and to put pressure in a positive way. And I think that in this aspect we can improve a lot.
Is he saying there, Michael Brown, that they struggle with the pressure?
I think so. I think he's saying, obviously, he's fully energised, he's coming back, he's ready for the fight. It was a strange scenario how he actually said, we need the fans to help us in this difficult situation. I mean, how difficult is the situation, and how do you live with the pressure? I mean, I think that's normal, isn't it, in this type of sort of environment, the game they expect, the Champions League, the players they've bought, the players that they've got in that squad. There's nothing else. I mean, the whole squad has created more pressure on themselves. Just the likes of the Sheffield United game where they haven't got that result, they've underachieved at times and been inconsistent in other games. So, listen, that's what we have every day in football. That is the pressure. So I don't know why he's going heavy on that, as he says he repeats.
But if you are, Chris, at the level that these Tottenham players are at, and I think, are all of them internationals that start this evening? Maybe not Oliver Skip, but the rest of them are all international, I think, that start this evening. Don't you relish this time of the year if you're an experienced international player?
Yeah, I find his comments a little bit odd. I don't know whether they're lost in translation. He seemed to be saying that they're not putting themselves under enough pressure, that they're taking it, things too lightly. I mean, the biggest challenge for Tottenham this season has been striving to find consistency and level of performance. But what do we know about this evening? I mean, this is a highly pressurised game, because if Tottenham don't get the desired result tonight, then it's another season trophyless, and it's another season which is going to, well, is it going to fizzle out? There's the race for the Champions League spot, but these Tottenham fans want to see silverware.
Chris, why is it that we still keep talking about consistency with these players? It's constant for many years. What is it? What do you see in that dressing room? Because at times when they're playing really well, they look unstoppable. But is it the recruitment of the level of players? Are they switching off? Are they not training right? Are they not preparing right? What do you see? Because I can't really understand why it keeps being like this.
Well, we don't. We're not party to what goes on behind the scenes in terms of training, the level of training. What we do know is, based on results this season, and you look at Spurs all the way through the season, the consistency levels haven't been good enough. I think if you ask most Spurs fans, the performance levels haven't been good enough. And things need to change. And the fact that last season there did seem to be a marked improvement, there were great expectations at the start of the season. Those expectations haven't been realised, which does make this evening absolutely crucial for Spurs.
But if you think about the comments that he's made yesterday, where he said the environment isn't right, 3 weeks ago in San Siro, he was talking about, and I, like Mark, had got and actually asked him to elaborate on it, because I'm thinking he was saying that the players aren't resilient enough and they lack focus. And I was saying, well, hold on, how can you say that when you've got Romero, who's Argentinian, you've got Emerson Royale, who's Brazilian, you've got a Dane in there, you've got a Croatian, you've got a South Korean, and I didn't
Is that
get
a pop
the
at the
comments
supporters though, Dano?
I'm not. I honestly don't know. I was baffled by it then, and when he said yesterday, when you just heard him there say the environment and the pressure, these players are used to dealing with pressure. There's a number of these players who've got Tottenham to a Champions League final.
But based on results
well,
this
hang
season...
on, Chris. Romero's won the World Cup, right? Romero's won the World Cup, first of all. And as Rio Ferdinand has said on BT this evening, I've been sent this, I haven't had headphones listening to Rio whilst Chris has been talking, but although now I've thought about that, that's not a bad idea. Tottenham have Brazil's number 9 and England's number 9/10, depending on where Harry Kane plays. So, they have experienced international footballers here.
Yes, but they have, but they haven't clicked this season. Michael was talking about Son earlier. It's a head scratcher. Nobody could have seen his form dip as it actually has this season. But if you put everything into the mix, it's not just one single thing at Tottenham this season. You chuck everything into the mix.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform. For further information and terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions,
Livingston and bottom of the table Dundee United. In the Women's Super League, Arsenal lead Liverpool by 2-0, and they're approaching half-time there. They're just past the half hour in the other Women's Super League game, and Chelsea lead Brighton by 2-0. Connie?
It didn't last too long, that lead, because if you want anyone to take a penalty, if you're a Rangers fan, it is James Tavernier. He very rarely misses from the spot, and he has not done that tonight. He's got the ball in the back of the net. It's Hibs 1, Rangers 1.
And Dundee United are behind now. Livingston lead by 1-0. Stephen Bradley got that goal 30 minutes into that game. When we look at these attacking options for Tottenham, Michael, does Conte's rigidity in sticking to 3-4-3 mean that he can't get the best out of Son, Kane and Richarlison, say?
I think that's always the talking point, isn't it? If you get the extra midfield player in, you play it as a 2 at the top. Is how do you get all of these front players and how that to have so much choice? Kulusevski possibly the wider one. We've seen Lucas Moura coming in, do it. Richarlison. They've got a lot, haven't they? The one name we do know is always at the top of it is obviously Harry Kane. But if you have another one in the middle of the pitch, you could bring Son on if he's going to play in a 2. So there's many ways to actually make that improvement, but it's just, again, it's collectively as a group keeps making the problems, and I just don't know where it's going to end up. And I still look as well as because the appointment of Conte, and I know I'm going back to it so many times, is because it was on a short-term type level. You never seem to know what the future brings. So are they questioning the manager when he's not going to be there for the next 2 or 3 years? Other clubs, you sort of go, well, he's here for such a long time. I'm still trying to work out, and I don't get why the inconsistency levels there, especially with those type of front players as well. They should be scoring more.
About a month ago on a Match of the Day 2, and I can't remember the pundit that did it, might have been Matthew Upson, said it's not far off a thankless task to be in a midfield 2 for Tottenham. It must be really difficult to be in a 2 in that midfield.
It's the hardest position on the pitch, that's for sure, Chappers. The midfield area. Strikers have it easy. They don't have to do anywhere near enough. So as a 2 at this level, very difficult.
Would you change their formation, Chris?
Do you want me to comment on that petty comment from Michael at all, or
no?
Or
rise
not?
above it, Chris.
Yeah,
rise above it.
I will. No,
you're better than that.
No, well, I'm not. No, do you know what? I think it is, really difficult for, it'll be difficult for Skip and Højbjerg this evening. You know, that they are often outnumbered, they are exposed. But what do we know about Antonio Conte? He's a stickler. He doesn't care what people think. You know, this is a system which over the years has brought him a fair bit of success, and he's sticking with it. So I mean, it will be really interesting tonight because Milan will start with it looks like a 3-4-3, but you know, they often play like a box in midfield, and so they'll be looking for overloads in there, which hence will cause Tottenham problems.
Having said all of this, Michael, I mean, you could, and we've dissected Tottenham every which way this evening. You could easily see them winning 3-0, couldn't you? I mean, they're that type of team.
Easy. You look straight away, you'd be sat here thinking what we've been worried about, won comfortably, very, very easy. But I was just going to say to Chris, do you know, like when you talk about the Harry Kane and that Son, would you prefer there's somebody one either side in the 3 with 2 behind, or would you prefer to be in that, in the 2?
Do you know what's really interesting tonight? Simon Kjær talking about the first game and Milan's tactics, and their tactic was block the ball into Harry Kane, and then that's what Simon Kjær said, and we can press the other. So that'll be their tactic again this evening. I don't think Harry Kane is too bothered. What we do know is that when he gets on the half turn, if he has runners off him, he is so accurate with his passing. So whether it's just with Son, that relationship which he has, or Kulusevski, he seems to have a good understanding with absolutely everyone.
Right then, they're nearly 6 minutes into the game in Munich, and it's Bayern 0, Paris Saint-Germain 0, and of course the Germans lead from the first leg by 1-0, but we'll keep you very much up to date with that. Half-time in the Women's Super League, Arsenal 2, Liverpool 0, and they're about 10 minutes to half-time in the other game, and it's Chelsea 2, Brighton 0 in the Women's Super League. And those 3 games in the Scottish Premiership, Celtic 0, Hearts 1, Hibs 1, Rangers 1, and Livingston 1, Dundee United 0. Michael, go and get yourself a nice hot cup of tea, stay warm, and we'll talk at half-time. Enjoy the warmth of the studio.
Looking forward to it. Hope Chris has found some gloves.
You got any gloves, Chris?
No.
He went for a warm-up, I believe. He went inside for quite a while, I believe, Chappers, and had a little bit of a break.
Let's use a cliche, say let's hope the game keeps him warm this evening. Tottenham against AC Milan, second leg of the last 16 of the Champions League. Antonio Conte's side a goal down from the first leg. Let's bring in Chris Sutton and Ian Dennis.
Thanks, Mark. Well, at Stamford Bridge last night there was a 10-minute delay and Chelsea overturned a slender deficit. So those that have gathered here at the Tottenham Hotspurs Stadium will hope there is a repeat in North London as to what happened in West London last night. For what Son described as Tottenham's most important game of the season, as Harry Kane leads out Spurs, as they always do, keeping with tradition on a European night, all in white, as Theo Hernandez leads out AC Milan, and their strong travelling support over in that far corner have all lifted their white scarves above their heads as the Champions League anthem sounds on a wet, wintry evening in Tottenham Hotspur, as the two managers embrace down below. We'll hope that they can find their cutting edge. Certainly they won't be lacking vocal support tonight, Chris Sutton.
No, tremendous atmosphere within the stadium, but the weight of expectation now on Tottenham Hotspur. This is their season. Here tonight, lose, and they'll be trophyless once again, so a huge night.
Certainly is. This is the side. Conte back in the dugout after an absence of 3 weeks following his emergency gallbladder surgery. Brings back Emerson Royale at right wing back to replace Porro. So Forster is in goal, Romero, Longley and Davis as the back three. Dyer, remember, is suspended, but Højbjerg is back from his European ban. Emerson and Perisic with the wing backs, Højbjerg and Skip in the centre of midfield. Kulusevski, Kane and Son are the front three, and as the two captains meet with a toss of a coin to the French referee Clément Turpin, this is the Milan side in their red and black striped shirts and black shorts. Mike Maignan is in goal, back three of Kalulu, Tomori and Chow. Messias and Hernandez will be the wing backs, Tonali and Krunic in the centre of midfield. Brahim Diaz, Leao and Olivier Giroud on his return to the capital. But if you include the opening game in the first leg 3 weeks ago, his record against Tottenham, 19 appearances and just the 4 goals. Won 6, drawn 5 and lost 8. And the former Arsenal and Chelsea striker is currently 4 games without a goal. As Spurs support vocal and hopeful, because you have to go back 2 years for the last time that Tottenham Hotspur lost 3 successive matches, so never in Antonio Conte's reign has that happened. If it was to happen, then surely his reign will be coming to an end. It's got that feel regardless anyway, I guess.
Yeah, it has. Pochettino linked with the return to Tottenham I saw this morning. Does feel like it could fizzle out, certainly will fizzle out for Antonio Conte if they don't find a way of going through this evening.
Well, certainly his press conference focused on his absence after 3 weeks away. If they were to exit the competition tonight, I'm sure the press conference and the paper's headlines will all be about his future, because his contract that he signed, that 18-month deal, runs out at the end of the season. And certainly there is a feeling that that option to extend it for a further year will not be exercised. So Spurs, all in white, are playing from right to left as we look. A Skip with a downward header to Kulusevski. tries to get away from Theo Hernandez, but the French referee says there was a foul, and therefore Milan are playing from left to right and are attacking that gigantic south stand towards our right-hand side, the largest single-tier stand in the country that holds 17,500. Maignan, all in orange, that luminous orange outside of his penalty area, and then Chow plays the ball out towards Tomori. Forward now to Tonali. Tonali tries to come forward over the halfway line, shrugs off the challenge of Højbjerg from behind him, and Theo Hernandez with that cross. That was blocked by Romero, and out it goes for a throw to Milan.
Yeah, looking forward to watching Tonali. Tenacious midfield, but with a wonderful range of passing. The start's so important for Tottenham, isn't it? They want this fan base to get behind the team. Got to start on the front foot.
Well, it was the sloppy start in San Siro that cost them with the early goal from Brahim Diaz. By and large, they were comfortable in Milan 3 weeks ago. Although, as we were saying in the build-up, grateful to that missed opportunity from the Chow header and De Ketelaere when he came off the bench, as Tonali wins the ball in midfield to the Milan captain. Hernandez now runs forward, links up with Giroud, and the challenge from Romero takes him out. Romero's got to be careful. He's one of two Tottenham players who's on a yellow card in this starting 11 that could potentially rule him out of a quarter-final appearance should he get a yellow card, and it should, of course, Tottenham get through.
It was actually, I think it was Skip who brought Hernandez down. We know Hernandez likes to get forward on that left-hand side from Milan, and an early opportunity from the free kick. The central area, halfway in Tottenham's half.
There's been wintry showers throughout the day in the capital. Persistent light rain is falling here on a very chilly night in North London, as Milan wait to take this free kick in a central area. Tonali and Hernandez. It's going to be Hernandez left-footed, a rather flat ball, arcs its way out of the penalty area, and Perisic didn't deal with it. Actually played back by Chow. Messias with a cross, headed away by Davis, and it will be retrieved by Kalulu on the halfway line, going all the way back to the Milan goalkeeper. Celtic 1, Hearts 1, Hibs 1, Rangers 1, Livingston 1, Dundee United 0 are the latest scores in the Scottish Premiership, and in the WSL, Arsenal 2, Liverpool 0, Chelsea 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 0, and there's no goals in the other game in the Champions League last 16, Bayern against Paris Saint-Germain. But this is exclusive radio commentary from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds, and this is the voice of Chris Sutton.
Yeah, just interesting the way Milan have set up under Pioli. They are known for their flexibility, and the thought that they would be, we'll start with three centre-halves. They're actually look like they're shaping up in a back four, over 4-2-3-1, but that may change.
Great noise, as I'm sure you can hear, coming through however you listen to BBC Radio 5 Live these days. The Tottenham supporters are certainly responding to the call of Conte, who wanted an amazing atmosphere. Now can his team respond to what he said, that the energy he wants to give them from the training field since he returned back to the training complex on Monday. Højbjerg in the centre circle. Challenge comes in from Giroud. Picked up now by Krunic in the midfield. Ball goes through to Forster.
It's good from Skip, actually making the challenge. He just hurt himself on making that challenge on Krunic. It's good work from Giroud, pinching the ball back, but I like what I've seen from Skip. Saw him for a season at Norwich City on loan.
Yeah, he did well, bearing in mind they were bereft of options 3 weeks ago in Milan. It was Skip and Sarr that started in the midfield. So you look at Milan's back line now, it is a three, yeah. So they're changing all the time, but that's the way that they have changed of late under Pioli, and it's seen an improvement in their fortunes as well up until the weekend when they lost at Fiorentina. Half-time in the WSL, Kelly Summers at Chelsea.
Chelsea 2, managerless Brighton 0. Guru Wrighton penalty and a Jess Carter strike mean Chelsea are in control. Kerr's also had one ruled out for offside, whilst Kankovic hit the bar. Chelsea responding well to their League Cup final defeat, and as it stands, going within a point of the league leaders Manchester United. Chelsea 2, Brighton 0.
0-0 here. This is Perisic, the little layoff, looking to Kulusevski. Kulusevski beaten though in the foot chase. Tomori glided across the surface, that greasy wet surface, but in fact the French referee Clément Turpin is going to bring it back for a free kick for a late challenge on Perisic.
Yeah, it was a brilliant touch from Perisic, who tried to feed the ball through from Kulusevski, and he did feed the ball through. It's a really strong challenge from Kalulu. Kalulu thankful that Tomori really put the burners on then and got back, because that looked like Kulusevski might get there before him.
We're getting used to that Celtic equaliser, Roddy Forsyth.
Yes, indeed, a massive incident lately. Maida getting it from 6 yards, like the opener by Ginelli. There was a long VAR offside check before it was granted. Maida's now gone off. You're replaced by Jota. There was a red card check for that one, but at the moment it's all square in Glasgow and Edinburgh, 1 each between Celtic and Hearts.
And Livingston lead bottom of the table, Dundee United by a 0-0. Perisic is hobbling badly as he makes his way out to this near side, the left. The ball is played through. They find Son in the central area. They lay off to Emerson. Out then to Kulusevski, back with Son. Triangular passing patterns. The back heel there by Emerson gives the ball away. Up towards Giroud. Cut out though by Romero. Runs forward for Tottenham Hotspur. We've been playing for 7 minutes, still no goals. Milan lead 1-0 on aggregate. Chow brings it forward. Stopped though by Højbjerg. Chow back to his feet, looking for the forward ball towards Giroud. Cut out by Ben Davies. Crowd urging Tottenham on. Romero enters the centre circle, plays it to Højbjerg, and now out to Davies. Ball inside is a diagonal one, quite low. Son, skip, finds Kulusevski, comes into a central area. Emerson provides the width, far side. Emerson now with the ball at his feet. Kulusevski's gone ahead of him. Plays the ball inside to Skip. Here is Højbjerg now, has a little glance over his left shoulder, plays it back towards Skip, and at the minute Milan have got a number of people back behind the ball, but they reach the feet of Kane. Kane tries to deliver the cross from the right hand side, he gets a throw.
I mentioned before the game, Simon Kjær in the first game saying they stopped that supply into Harry Kane, but what a wonderful first touch from him. Tried to cross the ball in, it was blocked. He's the creator, Spurs' best creator and best finisher. Got to stop Harry Kane, Milan have.
It was a real tussle between Kjær and Kane 3 weeks ago. An old-fashioned tussle at times. He was manhandling Harry Kane. Certainly Pat Nevin wasn't too impressed with the officiating at the time. That's a poor clearance by Milan to Højbjerg, under 30 yards out from goal. He finds Kane inside right channel of the penalty area, tries to work over the cross. Good handling though by the French international goalkeeper Mike Maignan.
Yeah, used his body very well there, Harry Kane, and tried to stand the ball up on that right-hand touchline. Couldn't get enough on it. Kulusevski and Son playing really narrow in and around Harry Kane, working off his little flicks and his hold-up play. It's Oliver Skip getting a bit of a telling off from the referee.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily a hold-up play. He was holding on to Leao, just trying to tug him back at the around the hips. So again, quite lenient, Clément Turpin, the French referee, and just a talking to the Spurs midfielder. Kalula, Messias coming forward. Tonali on the overlap, block in from Perisic, who of course was played under Pioli when he's for a season, when his time at Inter Milan, and he seems to be running freely as well after that late challenge. But Milan in front of the south stand away towards our right have got a throw, almost down by the corner flag. 10 minutes almost played. Messias with a throw. Højbjerg, chance to clear, taken away from him by Son, his own player. He played it back to Davies, who clips it up towards the halfway line, and then Kalulu will just find Tomori. former Chelsea player who's recently returned after injury. He was back against Fiorentina at the weekend after missing 6 matches with a hip problem. Maignan goes long and direct, and Longley gets the shout from Fraser Forster, and it goes through.
Yeah, both sides beaten at the weekend, weren't they? Milan by Fiorentina, Spurs by Wolves.
Romero collected a ball from Forster. They've pressed and they've won the ball back there, have Milan. Hernandez left-hand side, played it back to the edge of the area. Krunic lost it. Won back by Højbjerg. Spurs come forward. Kane, Kulusevski right-hand side, enters the penalty area. Kulusevski pulls it back. Emerson's shot takes the deflection, and Maignan had to just readjust and then dive to his left to make a smothering save. 0-0.
Yeah, Højbjerg initially did brilliantly. Milan had bodies forward. Intercepts the ball and pops it into Harry Kane, who's on the halfway line. He plays the ball in turn out to Kulusevski. He's trying to drive inside on that left foot. Lays the ball off, and Emerson Royal, he's got a safe effort with his left foot. Side foot takes a deflection and a comfortable save.
Tottenham have it though. This is Skip, midway through the Milan half, running away from Tonali. Got a nudge in the back there. Referee though, let's play continue. In fact, didn't actually play the advantage either. Clearly didn't see anything wrong with that. Here is Davis, short of the halfway line. Son being tracked by Kalulu. Does well. Emerson tucked in. Plays it out now to Kulusevski, coming in off that right touch line. Kulusevski's left-footed cross. Perisic was making that late run towards the far post. If you notice the Milan support, and it's amazing how many of them are all wearing black. There are a large number all in black. However, there are 3 who are just standing on their seats. In fact, there's now 4. You thought you were cold without gloves. They're bare-chested.
Oh, they're stupid. I mean, it's freezing.
It is freezing. They'll be shivering for their stupidity, if that's what you want to discuss, if that's what you want to say. So might make you feel a little bit warmer. Leao, was he taken down off the ball? It was a tussle. Referees coming under pressure from a lot of the Milan players.
It's Longley. It was really good from Diaz on the half turn, and Leao had made that run, and he's the one who's going to try and stretch the Tottenham backline out. Longley knows exactly what he's doing, brings him down, makes no attempt to play the ball. I'm really surprised the referee hasn't brandished a yellow card, and so is Pioli.
Yeah, I've got to say he's been very, very lenient in these opening 13 minutes, the French referee. So Longley, along with Romero, on that yellow peril, if you like, but no action taken. Leao is the one they've got to watch. There were moments in San Siro where he's a real live wire. Hernandez breaking forward. Hernandez with a cross, took a deflection and diverted it into the path of Fraser Forster. 0-0.
We talk about Leao, but that was a brilliant ball into Hernandez, who loves to get forward on that left-hand side. And you're thinking if he can get the ball past Longley, Giroud was free at the far post with an easy tap-in. The cross was deflected.
Theo Hernandez, he'll look to get forward at every opportunity, the Milan captain on that far side. Plays it back to Tomori. Tomori now goes into that central area midway through his own half for Malik Chow. Only reaching double figures tonight with his 10th appearance. Signed from Schalke. Of course, he had that golden opportunity with a header in the second half in San Siro. Spurs really could have been a lot worse for them. As it is, they're looking to try and overturn that early goal from Brahim Diaz from Milan in that first leg. So Milan still have the advantage, 1-0 on aggregate, as Kalulu turns away from Son. Brahim Diaz dispossessed by Davis. Son midway through his own half, plays it back. Longley now along the ground. It reaches Emerson, 10 yards inside his own half. Little flick then to Kulusevski on the halfway line. And now back with Romero. 15 minutes played here, delayed kickoff. It remains 0-0. Another goal at Easter Road. Connie McLaughlin.
It's Hibs 1, Rangers 2. Antonio Cholak giving Rangers the lead. The layoff was from Fashion Sakala, and Cholak slotted into the back of the net. Hibs 1, Rangers 2.
Thanks, Connie. Celtic still drawing 1-1 at home to Hearts. Livingston 1, Dundee United 0. Hernandez far side. Tonali. Chips it long, looking for Giroud to make the run. Perisic actually might have played him onside there. The boos obviously for Giroud, and picked up by Forster.
It's a really good run from Giroud, because I suspect the three Tottenham centre-halves will think, well, at 36 he's never been the quickest. Everything's going to be to feet and him coming deep, but giving Longley something to think about there. Well-timed run in behind.
Here is Tonali. Giroud again has made a diagonal run. Instead, Leao totally upended by Romero. This has got to be a yellow card. Surely. There it is. And Romero now is suspended for the first leg of the quarter-final should Tottenham get through.
Well, it's just a wild challenge, isn't it, from Romero? This is a real opportunity for Milan. The ball just popped into Leao. And Romero goes to ground. Takes Leao down, and must be, what, 26, 27 yards out. Central position for Milan. Just dived in there. Romero, seen him do it before.
That's his 20th yellow card for Tottenham in his 54th appearance. He's got to make sure that he doesn't get a third red card in Tottenham colours. Anyway, what he has done, he's given Milan a free kick. It's under 30 yards out from goal. It's fractionally left of centre. Milan playing from left to right. 17 minutes played, 0-0. BBC Radio 5 Live are also available on BBC Sounds. And Giroud is there. Brahim Diaz also is now just taking 4 or 5 steps away. Spurs have everybody back. Giroud is now going to join. No, he's not. He's just going to have a word with the 2 Milan players in front of the Tottenham wall. Brahim Diaz is poised. He leaves it. Giroud touches it. Tonali plays it. Messias opens up the opportunity and pulls it wide. Hit it right-footed across the face of goal. Out for a goal kick, 0-0.
I'll tell you what, it's dreadful defending from Davis. It really is. Clever little free kick routine from Milan. Ball into Tonali and fizzed out right to Messias. Davis thinks he can win the ball in front of Messias. He doesn't. Messias takes a good first touch, shoots across goal, but really chokes his shot, pulls his shot well wide of Fraser Forster's right-hand post. Should have done better, should have worked Forster.
You can already sense the frustration from the Tottenham crowd. Milan have probably started the better. Certainly the crowd then, as it went to, I think it was Ben Davis, the lack of urgency, the fact that it seemed to be a little bit more cautious, the Spurs fans were on at them. Here is Kane, outside the centre circle. Højbjerg runs forward. Remember the motto, to dare is to do. Here is Perisic. Højbjerg, 19 minutes played, still 0. Longley. Ball played forward to Skip. There's been no real threat so far from Tottenham. Kulusevski might change that now. Emerson on the overlap, plays him in. He waits, doesn't deliver it first time. Emerson's low ball easily cleared away by Tomori. Header won by Romero. Davis plays it out towards Emerson. Spurs fans want to see Tottenham on the front foot. Højbjerg brings it off the chest, finds Kane. The return ball almost reached the Dane. Broken up though in the midfield by Krunic. Kept alive by Davis. Urged on now. Spurs roared on, and Davis miscontrols the ball. And it's catching. Look how many now are those bare-chested Milan fans behind the goal. At first there were 3, then there were 4. Now there's about a dozen.
There's more than a dozen. Let's see how long it lasts then.
Of all the nights to do it, tonight wasn't one of them. Anyway, that was better from Tottenham.
Yeah, it was. I'm surprised Harry Kane missed that pass to Højbjerg. Looked for a little give and go. It was a good interception from Chow. Poor touch from Davies. And on the overlap from Perisic. Just got to be ruthless when they get the opportunity.
Longley now is shown a yellow card. Tottenham's defensive problems are mounting should they reach the last 8. Conte's now shown a yellow as well. So both Longley and Romero will miss the quarter-final first leg should Spurs get through. And Conte's been booked too.
Well, also, let's just think about this evening. They've put themselves under massive pressure. Longley and Romero now. Can't afford any more reckless challenges. And Conte said it, found his energy again, Ian. Let's see the challenge from Longley. I don't think that he does catch Giroud with his arm, but he's using his arms as leverage to leap and attack the ball. And sometimes these collisions, these clashes happen.
Well, Dyer will be back, but both central defenders there, Longley and Romero, have been booked. Spurs, meanwhile, as Chris Sutton quite rightly says, have got to focus on the task in hand before worrying about reaching the last 8. They've got to try and start posing a threat to Milan's back line as we approach the midway point of this first half. Tonali, Giroud is able to continue after that blow to the head with a free kick. Chow in the centre circle, back to the dark-haired Tonali. Messi to Kalulu rather down below, back with Tonali once again. And Milan controlling the game at the moment. Tomori. This is where, once again, when they're in possession, they switch to the 4 that you'd said about before, and then they push Theo Hernandez further up on that left flank.
Yeah, he's flexible. Pioli, interesting reading his comments before the game. Spurs won't surprise us, and in fairness, the Spurs setup doesn't surprise anybody. This is what Conte does. And for whatever reason, he thinks his team are going to grind this Milan team down.
Krunic has lost the ball in the midfield of his own half. Højbjerg plays it to Son. Son shoots from distance, takes a deflection off Krunic, and it will bounce behind for a corner kick. What can they do from a set piece? Struggling to get any sort of momentum from open play. Son to take the corner kick. Notice that there are 3 South Korean flags that are being waved. Not too far from Son as he prepares to take the corner on this near side, the left. Milan have everybody back. 0-0 on the night. Milan lead 1-0 overall. Son rolls it in to Højbjerg. Back towards Son, left-hand side. Son kills it towards the far post. Too much on it. And once again, you can sense that frustration inside the stadium of over 62,000 supporters.
One off the training ground there. Højbjerg coming short, just to work a different angle for Son to cross the ball in for. Is looking for Harry Kane at the far post, but the cross really wayward, 2 or 3 yards over Kane's head.
Here is Giroud, dispossessed by Davis. Trying to win it back was Diaz, former Manchester City player. Romero in the centre circle, hits a hopeful ball downfield. Perisic was getting after it, but it goes out of play for a goal kick. You, of course, played against Milan in the Champions League, didn't you?
Yes.
During your time for Celtic.
Centre midfield, Ian. I was. I think we drew 0-0.
That's right, at home.
When we lost away 3-1, is that right?
That is correct, yeah.
Equalised and conceded 2 late goals in the San Siro.
You were booked in San Siro on that night. You'll be hoping for more than 1 card for your 50th birthday on Friday, I'm sure.
Oh, wow. 50, really?
Yeah. I've got to say you don't look it. I thought you were nearer 55.
So did my wife.
Forster to Davis. Early birthday wishes anyway. As Kane drops deep for Tottenham. Emerson over the halfway line, ahead of him to Kulusevski, gets in behind Hernandez. Hernandez, though, gets back goal side, and good defending. Oh, the last touch came off Hernandez. I think he thought it was going to go out for a goal kick.
It is a goal kick.
It is a goal kick.
He was right.
He was right.
But it's just a shame, isn't it, for Antonio Conte and Spurs, that all the Spurs players can't hold on to the ball like Harry Kane. Brilliant from deep there, releasing the ball and popping it out right, and came to nothing in the end.
Goal kick is taken short, back to Maignan. A couple of touches inside that penalty area. Plays it out wide to Tomori. Tomori then hits it long. Giroud on the halfway line. Tottenham will tidy up. Half-time at Easter Road. Conor McLaughlin.
Hibs 1, Rangers 2. Hibs' early lead only lasted 4 minutes. The Connor Goldson own goal had given them the advantage, but James Tavernier's penalty cancelled that out, and Antonio Cholak put them ahead after the layoff from Fashion Sakala. As always, they'll be very much keeping an eye and an ear on what's happening in Glasgow, given the fact that Celtic at the moment are drawing with Hearts. Hibs 1, Rangers 2.
Yes, they are. Celtic 1, Hearts 1, and Livingston 1, Dundee United 0. Emerson is down over on that far side. This is an 8-10 kick-off. We were delayed by 10 minutes. There's still no goals in Munich between Bayern and Paris Saint-Germain. The Milan supporters are making all the noise. So whilst there's a stoppage in play, we'll get the half-time details from Roddy Forsyth at Celtic.
Celtic 1, Hearts 1. Ginelli putting Hearts ahead after a long VAR offside check, and then Maeda equalising for Celtic after the same. Maeda then came off, Jota came on, Ginelli went off, Jota came on, and Jota hit the post. Make sense of all of that if you can. Celtic 1, Hearts 1.
No sign of Porro yet. He is warming up, though, down below. Emerson is still getting treatment. In the WSL, Kelly Summers watching Chelsea-Brighton.
Yeah, the second half has got underway. 52 minutes on the clock. It's still Chelsea 2, Brighton 0. Reminder, Guru Wrighton's penalty and Jess Carter's first half strike mean the Blues are in cruise control and going within a point of Manchester United at the Summit. No real chances in this second half. 2-0.
Commentary that continues on Sports Extra. Arsenal 2, Liverpool 0 in the WSL is also a latest score. Emerson is on his feet. What have you made of Tottenham's start? We're in the 28th minute, it's 0-0, and they've created very little.
Yeah, Maignan hasn't had anything of note to do in the Milan goal. I'm surprised, with what's at stake this evening. Tottenham know what they have to do, and they've actually seemed to be playing with a bit of fear. They're cautious. I mean, look, nothing's lost yet for Tottenham, but I expected a start of far greater intensity.
It's 0-0, BBC Radio 5 Live. Milan at the minute, it's got to be said, are comfortable.
I think if you're Pioli and you've weathered the first half an hour as they've done, he would be absolutely made up with that.
Maignan on the edge of his area, the goalkeeper hits it downfield. Emerson is back on the pitch, heads it away. Giroud knocks it back to Hernandez, the left wing back. Tomori gets a touch. Tonali at a walking pace easily picks out Krunic, and Krunic then to Chow. Chow forward to Tonali, again no pressure on the ball. Tonali strokes it out towards Leao, left hand side. He's got pace, he's got tricks, he's got the skills, he's certainly got the threat as he looks to come forward now, but Skip just did enough. But Brahim Diaz helps it out towards Messias on this right hand side. Messias now shown on the outside by Perisic, goes back in field to Brahim Diaz, but Milan at the minute just stringing the passes together. Krunic, little turn, sharp by Diaz, loses the ball. Perisic to Skip, up towards Kane. Kulusevski streaking ahead of him. He finds him. Kulusevski now running forward, stumbles. No foul, says the referee. And Teo Hernandez brings the ball clear, much to the frustration of the Spurs crowd. Half an hour played. Milan on the attack. Leao drifting inside from the left. Finds Messias. Running forward onto his left foot. Messias has a go at goal, and it's a wayward finish. It's into that south stand. It's a goal kick. 15 minutes to go to half-time, 0-0.
Yeah, you can hear the boos ringing around. I think Kulusevski did slip, and then Milan break the other end, and Messias on that right-hand side, a right wing-back, you could say. Milan being very fluid, but likes to come inside on that left foot. Decent shooting opportunity. Spurs, Perisic and Davis need to really be switched on to that. High and wide the effort was.
Spurs play out from the back, and then Forster goes long towards Harry Kane. He was unable to hold on to the ball. Messias now has it on the right-hand side, turns back on the halfway line to Kalulu, midway through his own half, and he will go back to Maignan. Maignan just waits. He's certainly bolstered the Milan side after coming back for the last two games against Atalanta and Fiorentina after being out for 5 months with a calf injury. Ben Davies to Son. Hardly mentioned Son's name in the commentary so far. Another move breaks down for Spurs. That front three have been very, very quiet. Kulusevski with a trip on Hernandez in the centre circle. Free kick to Milan.
I think that's something which has been levelled at the Tottenham midfielders this season. They're not creative enough on the ball. Wayward pass from Skip, and Milan coming forward again. It's been too comfortable for Milan. It's been too tepid from Tottenham. Conte talking about the players need to put themselves under pressure.
Tonali, forward ball. Giroud takes it neatly off the chest. It was offside anyway. He did try for the acrobatics, but it didn't quite come off. Play continues. Kane picks it up now outside the centre circle. He looks towards Son. Won't reach him, and Tomori takes it away from Son over on that far side, and then Tomori plays it back towards his goalkeeper. Kulusevski will run towards Maignan, clears high downfield, and he's picked out Messias. And Messias now to Brahim Diaz, closed down by two players, Longley and Perisic, but he holds on to the ball and then knocks it back. Remember when they played Chelsea and everyone was saying, oh, they've turned a corner, and they were lauding, remember on Match of the Day 2, I think it was, about the wing-backs providing the width for Tottenham. The same system tonight, there's been no width from the wing, as it's offside against Theo Hernandez. Where is the creativity going to come from this Tottenham side?
Well, it's as always, it's Harry Kane, isn't it? Ball into Harry Kane and hope he provides a wonder pass, a brilliantly weighted pass for runners off him. But they haven't used the width very well this evening. Kulusevski, normally good in those 1v1 situations, hasn't got the better of Hernandez really, or Tomori. Emerson Royal has got forward, but very little end product, and Perisic has had a quiet game, hasn't he, so far?
Yes, he has. Mind you, I think many Spurs supporters will say he's been disappointing since his arrival from Italy and into Milan. When you think that last season when he won the Coppa Italia, he'd contributed 10 goals. He's yet to score, and this is his 35th appearance. How he would love to change that against Milan, but another ball given away in the midfield. If Antonio Conte's wish was to transfer his energy to the players, it hasn't worked. It's been an error-strewn 35 minutes so far from Tottenham Hotspur. One where they're lacking penetration, lacking creativity, and toiling at the moment.
It's not the transfer of energy which is required, it's a transfer of ability in the Tottenham midfield. It's Højbjerg with the errant pass there.
Well, you use the word that this side looked fearful. It's an atmosphere that they really should be looking to thrive in when you've got the vocal support for Tottenham and a sellout crowd of just under 63,000. Kulusevski, diagonal ball, finds Emerson. Emerson to Harry Kane. Harry Kane's cross took a deflection, diverted away by the legs of Maignan, and then Chow heads it behind for a corner kick for Spurs.
Yeah, that was Emerson coming into a central role. The player's an inverted fullback, pops the ball out right to Harry Kane. Harry Kane is in fact trying to feed a cross in to Son at the far post, takes a deflection, and Magnon makes a save.
Corner taken quickly and short, back to Kulusevski, clips over the cross. No one read it to the far post, and it was overhit and out for a goal kick, 0-0.
You'd have to be a BFG there to read that. I mean, blimey, that was similar to the Son cross, wasn't it, where they had the corner? That's just gone high and over Harry Kane at the far post.
Hurried, too much haste.
A lack of quality. Final third.
Composure.
Absolutely.
9 minutes to go to half-time. Been a frustrating first half. 0-0. Romero to Longley. Højbjerg drops midway through his own half. Davis is out towards his left-hand side. Back to Højbjerg again. Højbjerg chips it across to Romero. Emerson is ahead of him. And as he comes short, Chow read that as it was tried to play into Harry Kane. Goes out of play. It's a Spurs throw. Harry Kane himself takes it on that right touchline. Back to Romero. Højbjerg again drops short on the halfway line, goes back. Romero being chased by Giroud to Forster. It's an awkward ball for Forster for Ben Davis. It forced him further back, deeper into his own half. And then Son can't get the better of Messias.
Yeah, if there's a criticism of Fraser Forster as a goalkeeper, he's never been, or never had a great reputation for being good with the ball at his feet, and that pass put Davis under all sorts of pressure, 5 yards out behind him, and the ball popped into Son, who had to come deep. Did well to win a throw-in.
Well, they snatched top spot, if you recall, in Group D in the final seconds against Marseille. They might well be having to leave it late the way it's going. They're certainly going to need to improve on the performance in the second half, as we've got about 7 and a bit minutes to go to the break. And you'll hear, I'm sure yourselves, when the whistle sounds from the Spurs support, because they will not be impressed.
Well, especially, you know, talking before the game about Milan's away record this season, and they have been so poor away from home. And you think, well, Tottenham will come out of the traps, they'll try and catch this Milan team cold, really take the game to them. But it's tentative Tottenham, it's tame Tottenham.
Certainly the Spurs supporters wouldn't accept a tame surrender. But Davis almost ran in towards Leao. Emerson picks it up now over the halfway line. Finds Kane. Back with Skip. Skip to Longley. Longley now finds Davis. Perisic had made the run. Davis, though, goes back. Højbjerg. Where's that ambition? Where's that sense of adventure? Perisic. Now with Davis. They're playing in front of Milan. Here now is Romero on the halfway line. Davis forward ball. Højbjerg. Romero. Not really going anywhere though at Tottenham. Romero now finds Kulusevski. Tried to thread it forward towards Son. Emerson might have been the better option with the width on the right-hand side. Kulusevski chops down Giroud, and it's a free kick to Milan.
Well, they actually were really patient there. Tottenham went forward, came back out, and then they did create an overload with Kulusevski in off the line in the central area. But his pass was poor. Has he been booked there, Kulusevski? I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, he's lucky to get away with that. Hauling down Giroud.
Milan last reached the quarter-finals in 2012. That early Brahim Diaz goal from 3 weeks ago is still the difference between the two sides. But Magnon really hasn't been tested at all, except maybe that Kane cross that forced him to deflect it away with his legs.
You could have saved that.
Well, probably as tall as Magnon, to be fair. Whether I've got the same agility as him, I doubt.
Yeah. So do I.
I'm not as old as you. Here is Skip, returning, getting the ball back from Kane. Goes down under a challenge, gets a free kick. Says everything at the minute that the Spurs supporters are cheering free kicks, because in open play they're just not creating, and they don't look like they're going to create. Kulusevski cleared away by Tomori.
Well, they're waiting for that magic moment, and you wouldn't put it past them, because some of the players they have at their disposal.
Here is Davis. Half-time, by the way, in Munich. Bayern 0, Paris Saint-Germain 0. So Bayern still lead by a goal to nil in that time. Benfica and, of course, Chelsea last night through to the last 8. The draws on the 17th of March as Forster hits it long. Perisic has stayed forward. He gets the flick on, but there's nobody to run in behind.
Son didn't go early enough. It's a big diagonal booming kick from Fraser Forster. Perisic got up well, but Son didn't gamble early enough. Milan in possession.
Krunic on the edge of his own penalty area. Plays it to Kalulu, who hits it downfield. Flick on there by Giroud. Taken on the chest by Leao. Tightly marked by Romero. Spurs have it back. Emerson plays it forward. Harry Kane is dropping deeper and deeper to get hold of the ball. Now it's with Romero. To Davis. 3 minutes to go to half-time. Son wriggles away from the challenge of Kalulu. Emerson again is forward. Son holds on to the ball. Again, the crowd wanted it played early. Just that degree of hesitation. Now with Davis, and what could have been half a promising moment on the right, Milan now have got enough men back behind the ball. Spurs are ponderous. Kulusevski, right-hand side. Kulusevski with a cross. Perisic downward header at the far post, easily claimed by the goalkeeper. No power on the header, 0-0.
Hanging ball, Perisic got up well. Tried to head the ball down to Harry Kane, but Mignon gathered. But you're right, that the fact that Son just hesitated with that pass allows the Milan backline to regroup and get into position.
Brahim Diaz comes forward, gets away from Højbjerg. His diagonal ball has gone behind Leao, who'd made a run towards the inside right channel of the penalty area. Emerson runs it away for Spurs, all in white, playing from right to left with 2 minutes to go to half-time. Still 0-0, BBC Radio 5 live and also live on BBC Sounds. Højbjerg goes back to Skip. Skip's forward ball easily intercepted by Hernandez, and Hernandez then stopped by Skip. Emerson flies into the sliding challenge. Krunic, though, picks it up. And then Milan have been tidier in possession, and they just comfortably keep the ball, and Tonali just strokes it from that far side the left to Kalulu on this near side. Spurs are going to have 45 minutes here to save their season.
No, absolutely right. I mean, what do we know, though? We know that Spurs have been inconsistent all season. Quite frankly, they have been bang average in this first half, so maybe it'll be in the second half where they really kick into gear. That's got to be the hope.
Here is Messias. That's a smart turn. There was Davis. But having seen Milan in both games against Chelsea in the group stages, being in San Siro 3 weeks ago, this is not a great Milan side. And yet Tottenham are making them look so superior.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, Chelsea, who have struggled this season, blew Milan away twice, didn't they?
Tonali, his forward ball cleared away by Longley. Chow plays it to Tomori. Hernandez on that far side. Plenty of space. We're about to find out how much added on time there will be by the fourth official here. You'll know when the half-time whistle sounds. I'm sure the Spurs supporters will let their feelings know.
In fairness, Fraser Forster has had very little to do as well.
Yeah.
But you'd say Milan have been the more confident team.
The fourth official has indicated 2 minutes of added on time, which we're now into. But Milan equally don't have to chase the game, do they? The onus is on Tottenham.
Hence why we all expected Spurs to really fly out of the traps, but it's a Tottenham team this season who have shown that at times they're very fragile. You look at the last couple of results, Sheffield United, Wolves, a couple of losses, and they are just half a yard short all over the pitch, aren't they, so far?
Here is Emerson, stopped by Hernandez, back to Højbjerg. Højbjerg leaves it for Emerson, 6 yards inside the Milan half, finds Davis. Perisic is ahead of him. Davis will run forward. Now here is the Croatian international. His cross, right-footed, is curling, claimed by Magnon. The target was Harry Kane. Underarm throw out towards Leao, who's got the pace to come forward now for Milan. And he opens it up to Brahim Diaz. Diaz, man inside, is Krunic. Krunic looking to Giroud. He was already peeling back the left foot. That was a very important header away by Emerson. Otherwise, Giroud had the goal in his sights. It goes out for a throw to Milan, far side.
One into the other, and they work it well, Milan. And Giroud's been doing that all his career, just peels away from his marker at the far post, asking for a diagonal ball to be whipped in. Krunic did that. Emerson, crucial header.
It certainly was. Milan have been the more cohesive unit. They've had that, they strike you as a better balanced side. Spurs really are struggling here. Throw comes in from the far side. Chow was forward. Referee, though, gives the goal kick to Tottenham. But I would imagine that that probably would be it for this first half. Just the 2 minutes have added on. The ball-headed Stefan Pioli. Indeed, it is the half-time whistle. And the boos and jeers tell the story of frustration here after a first half of Tottenham Hotspur 0, Milan 0. And if Spurs don't buck up their ideas, Chris Sutton, they're heading out of Europe and their season will be over.
Yeah, absolutely. An enormous second half for Tottenham, who haven't turned up. They have been miles off it, really tame and tepid against the Milan team, who haven't travelled well this season. Milan have been the better team, but you have to say Spurs still do have hope, but they actually need to start taking the game to Milan and gambling and risking.
They certainly do. Half-time at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tottenham Hotspur 0, Milan 0. Mark.
The reaction says it all, Chris, doesn't it, really, of those fans?
It's been a remarkable performance with what is at stake. I mean, just going back to what Son said before the game, most important game of the season. It doesn't feel like it with the Tottenham performance in that first half. You know, they've been way off it. Harry Kane has shown some nice touches and held on to the ball well. We know he can do that. But they haven't created anything of note. They've had a couple of crossing opportunities from corners which have been wayward. They had the cross from Perisic halfway into the Milan half, right-footed from out near the byline. That's not out near the touchline. Sorry, that's not a great crossing position. But they really lack creativity in the middle of the park. Skip is workmanlike, tenacious, wins his tackles. Højbjerg very, very similar to that, and I think it's a massive problem for them. But they still have hope. They get the next goal in this tie. They're well and truly back in it. From Milan's point of view, though, I'm sure Pioli thought, Spurs are going to come out of the traps. They're going to come after them. I bet he spoke in the changing room before to the Milan players. We have to weather the first 15 minutes. But Spurs didn't really lay a glove on them. Really disappointing.
That creativity, Michael Brown, goes back to the pre-match discussion about two in midfield, doesn't it?
Well, that's exactly what we're talking about. You're looking to see how deep Harry Kane comes right back in to get the ball. Yes, he's great as it comes into feet, or he bats it off around the corner, etc., or holds on, brings other people in. But really, that extra midfielder probably crying out for it to be a little bit more solid, a little bit creative from the middle of the pitch to be able to feed these strikers, whether it be Son, whether it be Kane, in better positions, higher up the pitch. Shots on target, non-existent. Chappers in a game that has this much intensity, this much pressure on the side, and really that level of patience is not really washing, is it, with these Spurs supporters? The frustrations in the ground as the ball develops around on build-up, they're just not having it. So it's going to have to be a huge difference, a much quicker, higher tempo second half. It's not been great one bit.
Michael Brown, Chris Sutton with us this evening, back for the second half. It's goalless at half-time in Munich as well between Bayern and Paris Saint-Germain. So Bayern are going through there at the moment, 1-0 on aggregate. 2 games in the Women's Super League this evening. 5 minutes ago at Arsenal, they lead Liverpool by 2-0. Kelly Summers is watching Chelsea against Brighton.
Yeah, we're in the closing stages here, Mark. Chelsea 3, Brighton 0, just as Brighton were getting back into it. Turland, with a couple of chances, could have made it interesting. Will Chelsea have surely finished them off? Sam Kerr playing it across to Kania to tap home. Chelsea 3, second bottom Brighton 0. Chelsea are going within a point of leaders Man United. The two, incidentally, face off on Sunday. That's a game you can watch live on BBC Two at 12:30.
Let's go to Hibs, where there's been another goal. Connie McLaughlin.
It is, and it's another one for Rangers. That's now 3 for them, 1 for the home side. A mistake at the back by Hibs, allowed in Fashion Sakala, who looked like he's pretty much put this game to bed. Now Rangers are hoping, of course, the scoreline stays the same in Glasgow. It's currently 1-1, isn't it, between Celtic and Hearts. Hibs 1, Rangers 3.
Is it, Roddy?
It is indeed, and we're well into the second half now. We're 11 minutes in, to be precise. Still 1 each, and it was a very eventful first half, with the Hearts taking the lead. Josh Ginnelly from a Halliday cross. There was a long VAR offside check, as there was at the equaliser when Maeda rolled home from 6 yards. Then Maeda went off and Jota came on, and Ginnelly went off for Hearts and Uta came on, and then Jota hit the post. So it was a lively first half. Since then, the Celtic fans have not been entirely happy at Hearts' performance, because they've taken the game to Celtic more than the fans had expected. At the moment, though, it's Celtic 1, Hearts 1, and by the way, they know all too well what the score line is from Easter Road.
One other game in the Scottish Premiership this evening, and on the hour, Dundee United, the bottom club, have equalised at Livingston. Livingston 1, Dundee United 1. We will talk about the Players' Championship in the golf during half-time. We'll touch on Manchester United ahead of their Europa League game against Real Betis as well. Hopefully hear from Marcus Rashford after Stuart Clarkson.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thank you, Mark. Good evening. Gary Lineker says he'll keep speaking out despite criticism for using social media to describe the government's new asylum policy as beyond awful. BBC says it's having a frank conversation with the presenter about impartiality. Well, Rishi Sunak insisted he's on the side of the British people as he defended his immigration plans at Prime Minister's questions in the Commons today. The proposals would see those who cross the Channel in small boats deported and then banned from returning to the UK. A 14-year-old boy has been given a community order for causing the death of a woman while illegally riding an e-scooter. Linda Davis, who was 71, died in hospital after she was knocked to the ground on a pavement in Nottinghamshire last June. The RMT has suspended planned strike action at Network Rail next week and says it's for members to decide how to vote on an updated pay offer made by the company. The union's industrial action at 14 train operating companies, though, will go ahead as planned. And the Met Office is warning of heavy snow, bringing blizzard conditions to parts of central and northern England tomorrow afternoon and into Friday as well. It says there could be significant disruption to transport, power lines and phone network coverage in an area from Stoke-on-Trent to Durham.
Essentials football listening.
To the byline, across to the near post. Oh, it's in!
More live Premier League football than anyone else. 1-1-1-1.
On Saturday, Leeds take on Brighton. 3 p.m. kickoff.
And over on Radio 5 Sports Extra, it's Crystal Palace against Manchester City.
From 5:30. Then have your say on 606.
The UK's biggest football debate.
More live Premier League football than anyone else.
This is 5 Live. Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sport with Mark Chapman.
And we'll be back at Tottenham shortly, where it is goalless at half-time. So Milan are going through on aggregate, goalless in the other Champions League game as well between Bayern and Paris Saint-Germain. So Bayern lead by 1-0 on aggregate, and the second half has just got underway in that game. The Players' Championship gets underway tomorrow at Sawgrass. Our correspondent Ian Carter joins us now. And we're talking live, are we? And the proposed changes here. Who'd have thought?
Yeah, who'd have thunk it, hey? Listen, I think it's fair to say that pretty much every conversation with a player here this week has involved discussion of the proposed changes that are going to come to the PGA Tour, all in response to the arrival, and I suppose the threat of the Saudi Arabia-funded Live Tour. In short, what we're going to see, Mark, is several smaller field tournaments with no cut next year, but plenty of opportunities still for players to force their way into those designated events that will feature, 70 to 80 players. I've actually been speaking to the US Open champion Matt Fitzpatrick. Guess what? It came up as a subject of conversation, and I asked him for his take on the proposed changes.
My big thing is, regardless of who you are or what the scenario is, if you want to compete at the best and you want to earn the best rewards, then you've got to play the best. And, whether that's putting in the work, whether that's playing the best in the tournament, that's what you got to do. You look at Tiger, all his interviews, it says the same thing. It's you got to find it in the dirt. I seem to remember it being his quote. So I think it doesn't really matter who you are. You've got to play well to be part of it, and I think that is what is exciting. That you do have a chance to be part of it and play well this year and sort of get in amongst the thick of it. But at the same time, I can understand why there's mixed reviews of it, and but I just think golf's a game of getting it in the hole in as few shots as possible, and whoever can do that the most often is the best player. And I think that is the most important thing from this, is that there is a possibility for anyone to be in these top events that everyone's kind of talking about, and likewise that you can go out and do it. There's nothing stopping you. It's not like anyone's stopping you from being in these events. You go out and play well this year, and that's where you'll end up.
And is this the best answer to Live?
I don't really know what the answer is to Live. I think it's just such a huge combination of not problems or issues, just scenarios, variables, and I think it's difficult to find what the right answer is. I think this is an answer. Hopefully this is the long-term future, and it works out well, and it is the answer, like you say. But I think until you see it next year, to see how fans react, I don't think we'll know.
Back to Ian very shortly, but goal at Celtic, Roddy Forsyth.
The news of Rangers' fourth goal had come through, but the antidote was delivered by who else? Kyogo Furuhashi. A beautiful pass right through the lines by Moy. Ran the striker straight onto the ball, cut it on the angle, low pass Clark, and Celtic lead by 2-1. And there may be a third one at the moment, and it's Kyogo again, but he can't quite reach it this time, and you can hear the frustration of the crowd. 2-1 at the moment.
Details of that fourth goal for Rangers from Connie McLaughlin.
Yeah, if there was any fear, Mark, that Rangers might drop points here again at Easter Road as they did earlier in the season, well, that has very much been put to bed, because that is now 4. Antonio Cholak again linking up with Fashion Sakala, who sent in the cross, and it was Cholak who sent David Marshall the wrong way. Hibs 1, Rangers 4.
Let's go back to the goal, because putting aside the proposed changes and Live and all of that, the start of the year has been absolutely fascinating, and it will obviously continue this week.
Absolutely, and what we've seen is the best players in the world winning the biggest tournaments. On the DP World Tour, the biggest tournament so far was the Dubai Desert Classic. Rory McIlroy won that. Jon Rahm is a multiple winner this year. He is the world number 1 at the moment. McIlroy's number 3, and they sandwiched Scotty Scheffler, who defended his title in Phoenix. So week in, week out, the big names are hitting the heights on the leaderboard, and those three, interestingly, have been paired together or grouped together for the first 2 rounds, so they'll command an awful lot of attention. One thing I would say is that this is a capricious place, this golf course, and it can serve up a very unpredictable list of former champions, so I don't think it's a given that one of the big names will win this week. And the other thing to say is, because of Liv, no Cameron Smith here as a defending champion. Indeed, 31 players who were here last year who are now competing on the Saudi Arabia funded circuit are not eligible to play in this week's event.
Okay, thank you very much, Ian. Commentary of Day 3 of the Players' Championship on Sports Extra from 8 o'clock on Saturday and from 8:45 on Sunday. Bayern have just had a goal ruled out for offside, I think, in the Allianz Arena. So it's still goalless there between themselves and Paris Saint-Germain but 1-0 to Bayern on aggregate. Tomorrow night on 5 Live Sport, we're going to bring the Europa League commentary of Manchester United against Real Betis. Haven't got time to hear from Marcus Rashford, but he said about their performance against Liverpool, we didn't give up. That's nonsense. Is there a difference, Michael Brown, between not giving up but their heads going?
Well, it looked like they give up quite a bit, didn't it, in the second half? Once it gets to a certain scoreline, it was a capitulation in that second half. So, I understand what he means by saying no sort of professional footballer gives up, but to have that scoreline, you look around and you look at your teammates and you say, what's happening? Have you got that certain bit of extra desire? And there was question marks fired around that team when that capitulation happened. So it was a really, obviously, shocking second half, and it's how they recover now. This happens occasionally, but it shouldn't happen in that type of game, should it? Liverpool v Manchester United, chappers.
Because it was such a freak result, Chris, do you have any doubts about how they respond tomorrow?
No, I think it's a difficult game. I think Betis got a draw with Real Madrid at the weekend, and they're a capable team. But look, honestly, it's the result, because it was against a great rival in Liverpool, and there's that bad feeling within the game, and it's a one-off total humiliation. But when you consider where Manchester United were at the start of the season when Ten Hag came in, a difficult start, but they've been on an incredible run as of late. Take that 45 minutes aside against Liverpool. I think the mentality they'll have to show is there again, but I still think they're heading strongly in the right direction under Ten Hag, and they will prove that from now to the rest of the season.
Okay, teams are coming back out at the Tottenham Hotspurs stadium. So goalless in Munich between Bayern and Paris Saint-Germain. It's a very odd... Have you got that on monitor, Michael?
I haven't had the game on, no, not had the game on, literally just come on now.
It's a very odd offside decision, which would be based on whether Thomas Muller is offside. But I would imagine there's an argument and a debate about whether he actually touched the ball. And from the screen I've got, it's very difficult to tell. But that looked like what the argument may have been in Munich. But that is still goalless, and Bayern are going through on aggregate. It's finished in the Women's Super League between Arsenal and Liverpool, and Arsenal have won 2-0. Chelsea lead Brighton 3-0 as they approach stoppage time. There, right, massive 45 minutes for Tottenham and for Antonio Conte alongside Chris and Ian.
Thank you, Mark. I had a message at half-time from a wise football observer who said, no two halves are the same. But when the stadium announcer has just said to the supporters, it's our biggest 45 minutes of the season, you know what you have to do. At first I was thinking, I wonder if he's addressing that to the players who are waiting to come out. And then he said, give us the vocal support. The vocal support hasn't been lacking. Tottenham's adventure, creativity and threat in front of goal has, as Longley, who got a knock in the chest by Giroud, has gone down holding his face, and there's a stoppage in play. Neither side has made a change, incidentally. Forster's in goal for Spurs, Romero, Longley and Davis in the back three, Emerson and Perisic, Højbjerg and Skip in the centre of midfield, Kulusevski, Kane and Son. For Milan, Mike Maignan is in goal, Kalulu, Tomori and Thiaw are the back three, Messias and Hernandez are the wing-backs, right and left respectively, Krunic and Tonali in the centre of midfield, Diaz, Leao and Olivier Giroud. Spurs in this second half, all in white, are attacking the south stand. Those 17,500 supporters will try to suck them towards them as Spurs play from left to right. The vocal support hasn't been found wanting tonight. Skip's ball looking to be intercepted by Brahim Diaz. Nice footwork too. He's gone now down. That was Romero.
Well,
Romero's been booked, incidentally.
He has been, and you can see the Milan players getting in and around the referee saying, hang on. That was Romero, and Romero making a point of trying to help. Well, he has helped Diaz up and apologising. He needs to be careful.
There was an outstretched left arm that just caught Brahim Diaz in the face. Another goal in our featured WSL game. Kelly Summers.
Yeah, surely nothing more than a consolation for Brighton. Chelsea 3, Brighton 1. Danielle Carter off the bench for their 5th of the season. Interim boss Amy Merrick's will be pleased how they've not given up, but they're not going to get any points from this one. As we enter additional time, Chelsea 3, Brighton 1.
Arsenal have beaten Liverpool by 2-0. 5 Live final score is available tonight on the red button, the iPlayer and the BBC Sport app. You can also listen to us through BBC Sounds. 0-0. Kulusevski back to Skip. Goes forward to Kulusevski. Runs forward out to Emerson. Emerson's cross from the right. Flying header away by Tomori. Skip to Kulusevski. There were cries of shoot there for Skip, after, of course, that he'd scored his first goal against Chelsea in that area of the field at his 61st attempt. Ball spread out by Højbjerg to Kulusevski. Off the chest, level the penalty area right-hand side, onto the left foot, crosses, dangerous ball in. Perisic was there, and the ball played forward by Emerson. Kulusevski too far ahead of him. Tempo better maybe from Tottenham. Goal kick, Chris Sutton.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I mean, it was a cross ball in from the right-hand side, left-footed from Kulusevski. Højbjerg made a decent run across the near post, but they need to be more creative in this second half.
Well, a decision there has gone against Ben Davies, against Brahim Diaz. The crowd reaction, they seem baffled. He was just pulling the shirt. Actually, it was a very good spot from the French referee in his ultra-blue referee's jersey, Clément Turpin. Celtic still lead Hearts 2-1. Rangers are 4-1 up at Easter Road. Dundee United level now at Livingston 1-1 in the Scottish Premiership. 4 minutes into the second half. Spurs. It's a 8:10 kickoff. Are we to have an additional 30 minutes? They need to score by 1-0. They have been decent at home. They've won 4 of their last 5, with the exception being the North London derby. Certainly got to put in a much improved performance in this second half, as Romero has Kulusevski ahead of him. Again, there was a reluctance to pass the ball early and forward. Kane on the halfway line. Infield, finds Højbjerg in the centre circle. Højbjerg's diagonal ball reaches Kulusevski. Right-hand side. Kulusevski pulls it back. Skip plays it in low. Headed out by Krunic.
It's a really poor cross from a good position. But you just feel now, within the stadium, Spurs are building a little bit of momentum and playing with the desired aggression.
Here is Kulusevski, running away from Theo Hernandez. Stepping out of defence was Chow. Wouldn't then fall towards Son. Kalulu got a foot into the challenge and releases Hernandez. And they've got Messias away now on the right, and Messias pulls it back. Brahim Diaz might come back a second chance. He's still there. Very good save by Forster. Hooked away by Emerson. Only as far as Hernandez shoots left-footed. Back in towards Leao, who fires it wide. And out it goes for a goal kick. That was a scare for Spurs, 0-0.
Well, it was, and just how big a save could this be in the context of this tie? It's really well worked from Milan. Ball out right to Messias. Feeds the ball to Diaz, edge of the box. Diaz side foots a shot. It comes back off a Tottenham defender. He gets a break of the ball, and from 6 yards out has Forster to beat, and Forster, big right shin, keeps the ball out of the Spurs net. Big chance for Milan, and Diaz not taken.
Big moment in the game. Fraser Forster keeps Spurs in the tie. To go 1-0 down on the night and 2-0 on aggregate really would have been a tall order for Spurs. Brahim Diaz looking for a goal early in the second half, when it's his goal early in the first half from the first leg that still is the difference. Full-time now at Chelsea. Kelly Summers.
Chelsea 3, Brighton 1. A Guru Wrighton penalty and strikes from Jess Carter and Johanna Kannerid means Chelsea go within a point of the leaders Man United before the two meet here on Sunday. Managerless Brighton did get a late consolation via Danielle Carter, but they remain just second bottom. Chelsea 3, Brighton 1.
And it's a latest score: Bayern 1, Paris Saint-Germain 0. Eric Choupo-Moting has scored just past the hour, so Bayern now have a 2-goal cushion against Paris Saint-Germain. Changes being made here, and it is going to be Pedro Porro coming on, and it's Perisic who has gone off. So
he looked like he was hobbling off, didn't he?
Well, he did have that heavy challenge in the very early on in the game. So Emerson now has switched to the left-hand side, and Porro straight away is not too impressed with Tonali, but they make up. So Porro has come on for Perisic. Another defensive change. 0-0 it remains. A night of frustration in the Champions League for Tottenham Hotspur. A season that is resting on Champions League glory and fighting for 4th Champions League qualification. An exit here and another season without silverware. And already, of course, many a question mark over Antonio Conte's future. Might well then just have the 12 games left of his tenure as Brahim Diaz. Challenge comes in on the diminutive Spaniard, and it will be a free kick to Milan as he writhes around in agony as I think that persistent drizzle continues to fall on this chilly night in Tottenham. 9 minutes into the second half.
It was actually Son really careless in possession, tried to play a ball blind round the corner as it came into him first time, gave it away, and a foul was committed by Emerson, and a decent position this from Milan.
Messias has also gone down. He's actually feeling his hamstring on his right leg, so the Spurs supporters are booing. They think it's time-wasting tactics. I would imagine that Salamakers would come on to replace Messias. That would be like for like. Salamakers played there in the first leg in that position. They might well have fallen away from to challenge Napoli. You think they were only 8 points behind Napoli after the winter break, and now they've dropped to 5th in Serie A and are 18 points behind the runaway leaders. But looking for the last 8 in this competition for the first time in 11 years. Pioli might be making that change down below. Certainly you can't really take a risk with a hamstring, and Messias I think is going to be coming off. They're indicating that the change needs to be made.
Yeah, it is Salamakers. Yeah, absolutely spot on as usual, Ian.
That might be one of the nicest things you've said to me, Christopher.
No, that was sarcasm. No, it wasn't.
So Salamakers will be coming on, the Belgian international, to replace Messias. Taking his time to get this substitution. And here it comes. That was a lengthy stoppage. So Messias is off, Salamakers is on. With a hop, skip and a jump.
Substitution for AC Milan.
12 minutes into the second half.
Number 56, Alexis Salome.
Free kick, remember, for Milan. 10 yards in from the right touchline. Playing from right to left as we look. Good, strong support from Milan in that corner. Tonali to take it, right-footed. Romero with a header away, 6 yards out. Salamakers will pick it up, being chased by Kulusevski. Back towards Tomori. Tomori has time then to pick his spot, hits it right-footed, and that was a clear foul on Ben Davis, and it will be a Tottenham free kick on the edge of their penalty area. At some stage, Tottenham are going to have to throw caution to the wind. Antonio Conte, who like two of his three central defenders was booked in that first half, is barking out the orders. The layoff by Son towards Harry Kane. Harry Kane looking to get away from Tomori, who dives in with his outstretched right foot, out for a throw, taking quickly on the right. Skip lets it come across him, and as a result, Spurs are forced back towards the halfway line. Forward it goes to Højbjerg. Spreads the ball out to Porro, brings it under control near side the right. Porro can't get past Hernandez. It's a Spurs throw down by the corner flag.
Yeah, showing a bit of urgency. They know what's at stake. You just wonder why this didn't happen earlier.
Here is Romero. Wins that duel with Hernandez. Can't pick out Kulusevski. There's all the urgency, but they still haven't found the creativity. Trailing by a goal to nil in the tie. Højbjerg to Davis. Forward ball to Kane. Chow tight behind him. Kane uses his strength. Clips it across to Porro. Porro on the inside. Tomori there first. Tomori told to get up. Quite rightly so. Writhing around when there was no real challenge. Trying to con the referee.
Well, the referee telling him to get up. Conte telling Tomori to get up.
Højbjerg wins the ball midway through the Milan half. Kane, he now goes to ground. Gets a free kick.
Oh, I think he's played for that, I do. He takes a brilliant first touch, but he's already on the way down. Let's have a look. I may be wrong. He's already on the way down. Harry Kane, that simulation. But this is dangerous. From the Spurs point of view, 25, 27 yards out, what would you say? Right-hand side of the box?
I'd say 25.
Would you?
It's right of centre. They need something special. Porro is the one who's placed it down. Son is also there. BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds were also on the red button for 5 Live final score. Still no change in those 3 games in the Scottish Premiership or in the other tie in the Champions League. Spurs supporters listening to 5 Live, to this national exclusive radio commentary from inside the stadium, will hope that something comes from this. Son is shielding the ball from the wall. Great noise inside the stadium. It's Porro who's going to hit it. Waits for the referee's whistle. Porro runs up, right-footed, into the top of the 3-man wall. Giroud clears it away. Leao will give chase. Højbjerg lets the ball run down his chest, and then with a back pass, Emerson will pick it up just in front of his own penalty area.
And we are an hour into the game, and Magnon still hasn't had a save of note to make in the Milan goal.
Half an hour remains for Spurs to keep their hopes of silverware alive. Porro fed forward, Tomori comes across, out of play it goes for a throw. Another ball's bouncing onto the pitch, I think, stopped though by one of the substitutes. Porro takes it short, the throw to Kulusevski. Kulusevski back behind Davis. Brahim Diaz was putting him under pressure. Davis slid to keep the ball back with Spurs. Now it's with Kulusevski. Porro, right corner of the penalty area. Porro's cross takes a deflection. Tonali is back there to play it away, up towards Giroud. At no point in this game have Milan been really stretched at the back.
Not yet, but you just sense it. Since Porro's come on this right-hand side, he's trying to rouse the crowd up. But with what's at stake, Tottenham have to up the levels, don't they? The crowd are upping their levels, the players need to take part.
Yeah, they certainly do. Don't think there was ever any danger that the crowd wouldn't play their part when Antonio Conte called for an amazing atmosphere. But can the Spurs players step up in a season of inconsistency? 5 times this season they've suffered back-to-back defeats. At no time have they suffered 3 on the spin. But a draw will feel like a defeat with an exit from the Champions League. Højbjerg up towards Kane, the layoff to Skip, forward ball, cut out by Tomori. Tonali marshalling that midfield with his expertise. And Theo Hernandez runs into the challenge. And that was Porro, and it will be a Milan throw on the halfway line. The fourth official had Antonio Conte to his right, and if he'd have turned to his left, he'd have gone eyeball to eyeball with the bald-headed Milan coach Pioli. So much riding on this game. One goal would take us to extra time if Tottenham could find it, but they've got to test Mike Maignan. The Milan supporters, all in black, are bouncing up and down in unison behind that goal away towards our left-hand side. Spurs supporters, they had very little to bounce about, hopping mad maybe. There's Son just a little bit too far ahead of him. Salamakers wins the challenge on that far side, the right. Spurs win it back. There is that desire. They need to show the quality in that final third that has so far been lacking. Here is Kulusevski to Skip. Now Longley, tracked by Tonali. Romero, got to be careful. Leao was putting him under pressure. Goes back to his goalkeeper, Fraser Forster. And Forster hits it away downfield, left-footed. Little flick on by Emerson, now playing on that far side, the left. You're not in the San Siro, but it's Italian voices you can hear. There's Porro with a switch of play, searching diagonal ball, finds Son, controls it well. Son, been subdued so far. Cross, takes a deflection, wouldn't quite reach Kulusevski. Tomori was there to clear, up towards Giroud.
Great recovery from Skip.
Spurs win it back. Kulusevski to Kane, side onto goal, looking to turn, gets the shot away, might fall to Højbjerg. Højbjerg looks for a sight of goal. Højbjerg's cross, that was better, touched over the near post by Maignan.
He's got to get a shot off earlier though. I think initially when the ball comes to Højbjerg, edge of the box, he takes a touch. He's under pressure from Tonali, but should have got his shot off, and then he drives in the angle against him, and Maignan does make a save at his near post, just over his head.
He tries to whip the crowd up. The crowd have been waiting for the players. Can't fault the crowd's enthusiasm. Porro with a corner, little flick header, bounces away, comes out to this near side. Porro once again on the right, good teasing ball in. Two players went for the same ball. It was Kane and Longley. Cleared away on that far side, hits the referee. It'll be an uncontested drop ball in favour of Milan. 25 minutes remaining for Spurs, still 0-0.
Yeah, there's a Milan player down. Tomori, is it? Inside his own box. They actually didn't defend the corner well because it was a right-footed outswinger. Ben Davies gets across the near post. And as the ball comes out, the cross comes in, Harry Kane just cannot get his head on the ball.
In Scotland, it's Livingston 1, Dundee United 1. Rangers still lead Hibs by 4-1. And another goal at Celtic, ready for side.
And it's the one that makes sure that Celtic will maintain their 9-point lead. Sead Haksabanovic coming on as their substitute. Hearts allowed him to wander across the edge of their penalty area. Suddenly there was an opening. He exploited it. Fine curling shot. Celtic 3, Hearts 1.
And Bayern still lead Paris Saint-Germain by 1-0. 2-0 on aggregate then. As here is Brahim Diaz picking up a loose ball, running forward, edge of the area. He's got the run of Salamakers. Instead he waits for Leao. His shot right-footed, strikes Romero. It'll be picked up by Tonali. This is the worry now, because Milan might be able to strike on the counter-attack when Spurs are going in search of the goal that they so badly crave.
What a touch from Giroud though. A stunning first touch, outside of the left foot with spin on the ball. In behind him to Leao, who read the spin, and Milan had a good break, came to nothing.
Krunic, back to Tomori, and now all the way back to Mike Maignan, who plays a diagonal ball to Chow, midway through the Milan half. Tomori back towards his goalkeeper, one touch off his right foot, hits it long downfield. We're almost midway through the second half. It's still goalless in this second leg. As here is Leao. combining with Hernandez, back towards Leao. Leao enters the penalty area. Leao prods it. Brahim Diaz waits to turn. Diaz, shot deflected. Giroud saved by Forster. Fumbled initially, but he made the save.
Why did Diaz not shoot first time as the ball was crossed in? There's a lovely 1-2 from Leao and Hernandez. And Leao, little step over, pokes the ball with his right boot to Diaz, who could get a shot off. Uncontested, 12-13 yards out, takes a touch, and Spurs scramble the ball out left, and Giroud, the angle against him, fires a shot straight at Forster.
Harry Kane finds Son, edge of the area, breaks out to Skip, plays it towards Emerson. Emerson now on the left corner of the area, onto his right foot, curls over the cross. Hernandez tucks in, heads it away. Porro says this one's mine. Right corner of the penalty area, plays it to Kulusevski, fires over the cross. On the stretch away is Tomori. Højbjerg lifts it back. Every outfield player in the half away towards our right-hand side. We're midway through the second half. You're listening to 5 Live. It's 0-0. Porro with a cross. Harry Kane with a stooping header. He must have been about 6 inches off the floor as he flew himself to the ground. Well wide, goal kick, 0-0.
Unlike Harry Kane, to misjudge the flight of the ball, Porro, who's made a real difference, whips the ball in. And Kane, his ball's virtually on the floor when he heads it. He knows that was the wrong decision, a poor decision from him. Started to really open up now, it had to.
Richarlison is going to be coming on. That was an excellent sliding challenge made by Skip. No foul, says the referee. Skip runs forward. Richarlison waiting to come on then for Tottenham. Theo Hernandez is still down. It's not a head injury. It's not a head injury yet. The French referee has stopped play, and you can certainly sense and understand the gripe that the supporters have with Theo Hernandez. If everybody did that, we'd never get frustrating.
Yeah, you're clearly frustrated. The Spurs fans are frustrated. The Spurs bench are all up in arms.
It was a brilliant challenge by Skip.
Yeah, it was. Very strange decision. Here comes Richarlison. It's Emerson coming off.
So Emerson is well, that will indicate they're going to go to a back four. Davies then will play left back, Longley and Romero, and Porro as the right back. There has been a note passed by Richarlison to Romero.
Why doesn't he just tell him? It's quite odd, isn't it?
Well, I'm no tactical mastermind, but we worked it out from here. 20 minutes remaining.
Or have we?
So Son actually has gone quite wide on the left. Richarlison up along Harry Kane. Kulusevski at the minute is in a central area. Here is Son. Something needs to happen. 15 years without silverware. Could be another season. And even then, the Champions League was a long shot for Spurs, given the strength of some of the sides still in it. As their ball has been lifted forward towards Leao, and Leao enters the penalty area, and on the half volley, he clips it over the top on the run, right-footed goal kick, 0-0.
That's the danger, and Leao has blistering pace that high. Spurs back line, Romero did well, ran alongside him. Leao got the shot off, but was under pressure, went well over the bar.
Here is Kulusevski, running central area to Richarlison. Richarlison to Porro. Porro with a shot, always on the rise, right-footed, 25 yards out, over the top, into the south stand. And 19 minutes remain, and it is still 0-0.
Poor from Porro leaning back. They have just really lacked that composure in the final third, and the quality has been required. It's not been there yet.
Haven't created enough. Haven't tested Milan enough. Haven't asked enough questions. But there is still time with 18 minutes for that to change. As Skip charges forward, out to Kulusevski. Kulusevski on the right, wins a corner kick for Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham looking to knock at that Milan door. Might be asking too much to win it in the 90 with the 2 goals that they require, but a 1-0 scoreline would take us into extra time. Porro with a corner kick near side the right. Left arm aloft, outswinger, headed out by Chow, headed further away by Salamakers, comes to Skip, hits it forward, it'll be claimed by Mike Maignan. Full time at Easter Road, Conor McLaughlin.
Hibs 1, Rangers 4, convincing win for Rangers despite an early goal, giving Hibs the lead, an own goal of course. A James Tavernier penalty and a fruitful partnership between Antonio Colak and Fashion Sakala produced another 3. Hibs stay 5 points behind Hearts in 4th, and their 7-game unbeaten run is over. Hibs 1, Rangers 4.
Livingston 1, Dundee United 1 is also a full-time score, so Dundee United now 3 points behind Kilmarnock down there at the bottom of the table.
Richarlison there, Ian, up to his old tricks as that ball was hooked back in from a central area from Skip. Maignan claimed the ball comfortably. Richarlison just followed through into him, left a bit on him.
Kulusevski, the familiar voice of Chris Sutton on BBC Radio 5 Live. Richarlison gets a free kick, the challenge from Chow. Richarlison in the referee's coming under a lot of pressure now. There's so much at stake with 17 minutes remaining and it's still goalless.
Yeah, he turned the wrong way though, Richarlison. He turned inside on his right foot and Son was free on the left-hand side had he turned the other way, but Spurs have a free kick. Can this be the moment?
There needs to be one, certainly. Son to take it. It's a good way out, over 30 yards out the free kick. Right-footed, curls it forward. Kane's at that far post, he gets a corner kick. It was Hernandez jumping in front of him. Out of play it goes for a throw. Those 17,500 Spurs supporters who are in that banked tier towards our right-hand side are willing Spurs on. 16 minutes of normal time remain and it's still 0-0. Son to take the corner kick and it curls all the way over the top onto the roof of the net, out for a goal kick.
That pretty much sums up Son's season, doesn't it? Really does. Blimey, an opportunity where Tottenham have created very, very little in the game. Good opportunity. The crowded box from the corner kick and he whips it on top of the net.
Brahim Diaz challenged by Skip. Ball played forward to Kane, but he's outside the centre circle of the Milan half. Still looking for the goal to level the tie. Kane plays the ball towards Højbjerg. Davis will go on the overlap. Højbjerg waits 30 yards out from goal to Porro. Porro sends in a cross, up in the air it goes. Harry Kane and Tomori, bouncing ball out of play. Corner kick to Tottenham.
Used his body well there, Harry Kane. Tomori thought about going and attacking the ball as it looped up into the air. The ball's not coming back onto the pitch. Now there are 2 balls on the pitch.
There's 3 balls on the pitch. The multi-ball system didn't work at all, and then all of a sudden there were too many. So Porro to take the corner kick on the right. Under quarter of an hour remains and it's 0-0. Porro, right-footed, outswinger, over the head of Richarlison. Out of the penalty area it goes. Picked up by Son. Son midway through the Milan half. Back towards Skip. The last remaining outfield player on the edge of the centre circle. Down onto his haunches in frustration is Conte. Out of his technical area. Spurs being patient, onto that left-hand side. Cross, lifted in, gathered in by Maignan. Full-time then at Celtic, ready for side.
For the second game in succession, Celtic come from behind. In this case to Josh Ginnelly of Hearts after only 6 minutes. A fine header cancelled by a sliding shot by Daisen Maeda. Both goals required VAR checks. Both scorers went off to be replaced by Jota Almeida. The second half saw Celtic assert themselves with a cute angle drive by Kyogo and a spectacular finish for Haksabanovic. 3-1 victory in Postecoglou's 100th game in charge.
He's going to go here. He's going to go.
We could have trouble here. Romero catching Hernandez. The Milan bench.
He's gone.
We're pleading for a yellow card, and Romero has been shown a second yellow, and then the red will follow. He was booked in the first half. He himself is in the technical area, actually, of the Milan dugout, but Hernandez is down. But when he gets to his feet, he will be shown the red card by the French referee, and Spurs are going to have to do it the hard way.
Well, it was so reckless from Romero. We spoke, didn't we, about the early booking, putting himself under pressure, and he gambled on a challenge with Hernandez, had to win the ball. Hernandez went past him, he flew in, took Hernandez out, who's still down, and the referee has absolutely no choice. It's an easy decision. It is a second yellow, and Spurs, guess what? They've shot themselves in the foot.
The red card is out, he's just waiting to brandish it. Romero is getting treatment in the Milan technical area.
I think it's one of those where Romero knows he hasn't timed it. I might be wrong, I hope Romero's okay, but I think he knows that it's a mistimed, reckless challenge, and he's trying to play the referee there, but
his mind's made up.
Yeah, nobody's fooled there.
Well, regular observers of Serie A would know about the aggressive style of Christian Romero. 39 yellows and 3 reds in 102 Serie A games for Atalanta. And there is the red card, and that's the 3rd dismissal in his Tottenham career, his 2nd of the season. Romero is sent off, and with 12 minutes remaining, Tottenham Hotspur needing a goal are down to 10 men.
Turpin stands and delivers the 2nd yellow.
Well, Sanchez is going to be coming on, so they're going to have to sacrifice somebody here now, Antonio Conte, and it's all going horribly wrong for Tottenham Hotspur.
What's a really stupid challenge, though, from Romero. Plays on the edge, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
But that's just a really poor decision. You know, he knows he's on a yellow card.
So at the moment, they've gone to Porro, Longley and Davis as a back 3. A skip towards Son. Sliding in was Kalulu. Salamaca's on that right-hand side. He won't get the better of Ben Davis, who stood up to the challenge well. Finds Højbjerg. Højbjerg now to skip. Back out it goes to that left-hand side. 10 minutes remaining. Kane picking it up and running forward. But in the end, it was Krunic who just came across, and in the end, he's rugby tackled by Harry Kane. Bayern have got a 2nd goal as well. So Bayern 3-0 up on aggregate now against Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah, it's very hard to work out what system Tottenham are playing now. It looks like Kulusevski has gone back into a right-back position.
Substitution for AC Milan replacing
and
10.
There's Richarlison getting fired up again.
Serge Gnabry has got that clincher for Bayern in the 89th minute, so they will join Chelsea and Benfica in that quarter-final draw. So Benacer is going to be coming on, the former Tottenham player, and we're also going to see Divock Origi, who's going to be coming on too for the closing 10 minutes. Divock Origi, who of course scored against Spurs in that Champions League final for Liverpool 4 years ago. It's Origi for Olivier Giroud, and it was Benacer who's come on for Brahim Diaz. So that in many ways is just to shore up that midfield, as Brahim Diaz, an attacking option, being taken away by Benacer, who returned at the weekend after being out since late January with a thigh problem. Central midfielder Ismail Benacer, the Algerian international. But Milan with Leao. Spurs just have to hope for one moment, but it's certainly not easy when you're down to 10 men. Here now is Tomori. Ball cut out by Kulusevski. Højbjerg lifted forward, then up towards Son. Spurs big name players haven't delivered Son yesterday in the press conference talked about we've got to give it everything. Well, they've lacked quality, as it's going to be a quick free kick that Kulusevski will take, and it's played out now to that far side for Davis. But Milan win the ball back, Salamakis. The interception though from Davis on that far side. Back it goes then to Harry Kane, who wins it down by the corner flag, goes down under the challenge. The referee will give the free kick to Tottenham. Chris Sutton.
Yeah, well, Kane doesn't need an invitation to go down. It's, I think he dives again, Harry Kane, he does. Kalulu does make contact, not enough contact to go down, but there's a substitution.
Booed, actually. That decision from Antonio Conte, there were boos for Sanchez coming on for Kulusevski.
Well, they won't be booing if he scores off the set piece.
So Kulusevski is off, Sanchez is on.
I mean, this delivery is so important. Milan with the numerical advantage. Porro over the ball, left-hand side of the box.
This will be an in-swinger from the free kick. Not even 6 yards up from the byline. Porro takes a deflection off the head of Salamakis. It will run through to Harry Kane. Harry Kane plays it towards Son, to Sanchez. Sanchez caught by Hernandez. They're appealing for a penalty. Strong penalty appeals, more from the crowd actually than the Tottenham players, as Leao runs forward. It will be checked by VAR. Leao strong running. Leao enters the penalty area. It'll fall to Tonali. Tried to place it. Block came in from Porro, who did well.
Sanchez went down. It wasn't a big protest from him. There's a protest from the thousands of Spurs fans from within the stadium. What a chance from Tonali at the other end, though. Blocked, I think was it Longley?
I think it was Porro.
Porro who blocks it.
Porro got back.
Big chance, took his time, tried to pick his spot and feed the ball into the far corner. Past Fraser Forster from a central area. And they've wasted some opportunities, haven't they, Milan?
They certainly have. They've actually had the better chances. I think Christian Stellini may have asked the fourth official. There was a dismissive wave of the hand from the fourth official, so got the impression there that the VAR had seen nothing in that penalty appeal from Tottenham.
This is all they've got now, Spurs. Balls up to Kane, Richarlison, knockdown football.
Here is Sanchez to head it forward. They've just got to go direct. Benacer coming forward now. Out it goes to Salamakis. 5 minutes of normal time. They've lacked ideas, they've lacked imagination, this Tottenham Hotspur side. And
but for a game which we're just seeing this penalty appeal from Tottenham. Sanchez gets to the ball just in front of Hernandez. There's no contact. Sanchez goes down.
Well, Antonio Conte could just have a dozen games left of his Spurs tenure, and his record once again is one of underachieving when it comes to the Champions League. Theo Hernandez to Leao. Leao can't find a way through, left corner of the area. He will still run forward. He holds onto the ball, does Leao. They've doubled up on him in Porro and Skip, but Leao gets away from both of them and finds Tonali. Tonali tried to nudge it back into the path of Leao. There was Skip up towards Harry Kane. 4 minutes remaining. Harry Kane holds onto the ball. Højbjerg up towards Richarlison. Richarlison wasn't convincing. Trailed a leg and it just bounced off his heel. And at no point did you really feel that Spurs were going to trouble Milan there. Benacer shoots from distance.
Decent strike, that 30 yards out. Thinks why not? Not a lot of movement up ahead of him. And Forster gets down to his left-hand side and makes the save.
Antonio Conte, as the ball was up there to Harry Kane, his 6th season in the Champions League, Only once in his previous 5 has he gone past the last 16. Juventus to the quarter-finals. Chelsea the last 16. Inter 2 group stage campaigns to match one of the group stages when he was in Turin. And failing to deliver here with Tottenham as Son picks up the ball on that left corner of the area. 3 minutes remain of normal time. Up towards Richarlison. Heads it in front of Hernandez to Porro. His header back towards Richarlison, looking to turn. Right corner of the area. But Tonali, who's been terrific for Milan, breaks it up. Sanchez lifts it forward. And that's cleared away by Salamakers. And Bayern have beaten Paris Saint-Germain by 2-0. So they are through, winning 3-0 on aggregate. And it looks like we will know the first quartet of the last 8 lineup. And it will only include 1 English representative, that of Graham Potter's Chelsea, joining Benfica, Bayern and Milan. And Stefano Pioli, who won Milan's first title since 2011 with their title last year. The Italian champions are looking for a first appearance in the quarter-finals of this competition in 11 years.
He called it though. I mean, it's not over yet, but Pioli said Spurs won't surprise us. They actually haven't laid a glove on Milan.
The bleak winter's night was the feel approaching the stadium tonight, and it's certainly got that bleak outlook as far as Tottenham are concerned. Rebic is going to be coming on. Ante Rebic, and Leao, the player, will go off. And again, a substitution that just reeks of Pioli to stifling Tottenham, who you could probably count the amount of chances on one hand. And all the talk yesterday from Son and Antonio Conte in the press conference have actually just proved to be quite hollow.
Save our season, this was for Spurs. They have the biggest issue. I think the endeavour has been there, in fairness. The lack of quality, the lack of creativity, and the stupidity from Romero.
By my watch, we're entering the last 60 seconds of normal time. The 4th official will be interesting. Although some cynics might suggest Tottenham could play for another half an hour and still they would not score. Such has been the lack of opportunities that they've created for what was their biggest game of the season. Here is Rebic, loses out to Sanchez. On the stretch to the right of the centre circle is Højbjerg. Porro now runs forward. Porro faced by Hernandez. Hernandez comes across, out of play, it goes for a throw. All eyes on the 4th official down below. Jeremy Pignard, who only now is entering the digits. 6 minutes of added on time.
The 4th official is indicated.
Easily intercepted by Salamakers at right wing back. Inside now towards Origi. Origi in the centre circle holds onto the ball and passes it out towards Benacer. Benacer to Salamakers.
That pass from Ben Davies sums up Spurs' evening, doesn't it? Short, misplaced.
Tonali leads it towards Hernandez. And now Tonali on this near side, the left, back towards Hernandez. Spurs chasing, desperate to get hold of the ball. And they're going to have to maybe try and summon up something from when they snatched that dramatic finish in Marseille. But they're down to 10 men here. As the ball is played forward, and it's Origi trying to get the shot away. That was blocked by Sanchez on the edge of the area. Back pass towards Fraser Forster. Puts his left foot through that. And easily headed away by Chow. Porro will then foul Rebic.
Blimey, I mean, talk about playing into Milan's hand. Porro hacking down Rebic. I've got to say that the 3 young centre-halves for Milan, Ian, this evening have been superb. They've barely put a foot wrong. Tomori and Chow and Kalulu, they've marshalled Kane and co very, very well.
The iconic stadium of San Siro will be hosting quarter-final football in Europe's elite competition again, unless something extraordinary dramatic happens in the next 4 minutes of added on time here on BBC Radio 5 Live. 0-0. And Tottenham Hotspur with Harry Kane back with Skip to Højbjerg. Højbjerg taken out by Chow. Chow will be booked. A yellow card, taking one for the team 30 yards out from goal. Free kick, going to require something very, very special.
I talked that up, didn't I? Saying what a good game Chow has had, but that's careless from him. And this looks like Tottenham's best bet. Set play. They're very deep, the Milan back line.
Well, I don't know about Chow. It might be Arrivederci as far as Tottenham Hotspur are concerned, with 3 minutes remaining. 0-0.
Very deep, that Milan defensive line.
It is.
Unusually deep.
Free kick, 30 yards out. Son to take it. Harry Kane with a header. What a save by Mike Maignan. Full stretch away towards his right-hand side. Lowe gets down. The best opportunity that Tottenham have created, but now there's a counter-attack. It's Hernandez to Origi. Origi in the penalty area, hits the post and bounces into the arms of Fraser Forster. Drama at both ends.
It's a brilliant save. Mentioned Milan and how deep the back line was. About 8 yards from their own goal, and Harry Kane gets a glancing header. Maignan down to his right-hand side, makes a brilliant save, and then at the other end, Origi strikes the ball off the left-hand post of Forster, and Forster juggles the ball, catches it, and Spurs now back on the attack.
Ball pumped into the penalty area. Sanchez trying to flick it on. Højbjerg is there. 2 minutes remain. Sanchez with a cross, just agonisingly over the head of Son, and Milan clear. Kalulu up towards Tonali. If he can ride the challenge, he's fouled by Skip. That's going to be another yellow card. But Milan don't care. Tonali has been terrific for Milan. The Italian international winning a free kick and eating up valuable seconds.
Yeah, he's had a very, very strong game. Good defensive instinct, screened his back line well, good use of the ball. Just seeing that Harry Kane header again, as ball whipped in from a central area, gets a decent glance on that Harry Kane. Maignan eventually really worked an excellent save.
Tatarusanu, who had an eye operation during the World Cup. Sometimes he'd necessarily been questioned with some of his goalkeeping, but the experience of Maignan has certainly come to Milan's aid there, as the ball is pumped out of play over on that far side, and we're now entering the last 60 seconds. 1 more minute remains, and Milan have a throw on the right-hand side. To dare is to do, to dream. Those dreams are going to be in tatters for Tottenham.
Well, another trophyless season by the looks of it.
Ball hit long by Davis. Richarlison in that challenge with Tomori, nods it on. Højbjerg was there, put out of play by Chow. Now or never. 25 seconds remain. Son combining with Davis. Davis low ball in from the left. And there at the back is Krunic to clear it long. Rebic will give chase. And by my watch, we have 10 seconds remaining. And Rebic will now try an outstretched long leg. But there is the final whistle. And a chorus of boos as Tottenham Hotspur crash out of the Champions League. No happy ending for Conte. And another season without silverware for Spurs. What a disappointing way to exit Europe's elite competition. 0-0 on the night. Milan celebrate their first appearance in the last 8 since 2012. 1-0 they go through on aggregate.
And there are ways to go out of the Champions League. But tonight, I've got to say, Tottenham just did not perform. Such a disappointing performance from them. It was really flat in the final third. The only save which Magnon had to make was in extra time from the free kick from the Harry Kane. Glancing header, but I thought Milan came here with a swagger. They are a team who performed really poorly away from home this season, but Spurs didn't start well, didn't finish well, and this season isn't going to end well once again. They've taken a step backwards this season.
Too little, too late, and it's another season without any trophies for Tottenham Hotspur. They're out of Europe, they're left just fighting for Champions League qualification. As the Milan players celebrate with the supporters on that far side, it's finished goalless, and Milan go through to the quarter-finals.
Tottenham fans may correct us here, Ian, but I can't remember as angry a reaction from Tottenham fans at the end of the game under Antonio Conte. Can you?
No, but I think it's been brewing, not just because of the lack of consistency this season, but the style of football. The style of football is not the Tottenham way, and the supporters, I think, have had their fill. Coinciding with the exit of the FA Cup last week for what was a competition that is crying out to be won for a club like Tottenham Hotspur, when you think of the few Premier League representatives who are left in it, and then to go out in this manner where they lacked an adventure and ambition in the first half, didn't create enough opportunities, so I think it's just come to a head. And also as well, they've got a manager who doesn't want to commit. They know that the manager's not going to be here at the end of the season, and I think everything now is coming to a head, and I think this now is for Spurs as a football club. They are now, well, they're at a crossroads. They've got to make the call, because they've got a plan. They've got a plan for the future, and there's a lot of questions that now need to be asked.
They've got to make the call? What about the manager's future?
Well, it's all about recruitment. Why? Yes, you've got still top 4 to fight for, but if the manager is not going to be here next season, why don't you try and say, right, okay.
But Ian, is the manager driving recruitment? I mean, they've got a director of football, so presumably the manager isn't solely driving the recruitment. That's on Paratici, no?
Yeah, so Fabio Paratici now and the hierarchy of Tottenham Hotspur have got to address which direction Tottenham Hotspur are going to want to go in. You could bring in a manager now who could assess the playing squad with the 12 games that remain in the Premier League, and then know, with Paratici, a joined-up approach, know exactly how you're going to target next season. Or do you wait until May and then say, OK, now we're going to make the decision?
I'd agree with what Ian's saying there, Mark, because they have to make a decision in which direction the club is going. And I know Conte's had a really difficult time recently, and, you know, it's his first game back today. But there needs to be clarity